All right, today we are gabbing once again with Marjon Carlos. She is the host of your Favorite Auntie Show podcast. She has been on the show before, and I wanted to have her back because we had such a great conversation the first time she came on gabbing with Gib. Thanks for being here. Happy New Year. How are you? How are you feeling?
Here. I'm good. I'm always good when I'm amongst my like Bravo nerds, my Bravo
Yeah,
archivists, like my Bravo scholars. This feels like home.
those of us who are in too deep, perhaps, is the
Yes.
way to put that. Okay. Um, so we were just saying there we've had kind of two big episodes, I think, this week of Potomac and Salt Lake. And we're going to start with Salt Lake just because it's so top of mind. And it was the finale of this season six, and it was a supersized episode. And it was just kind of this like, I actually just watched it for a second time this morning
Okay.
because I was just like,
Yeah.
at first I was like, what did I just watch kind of thing. So, but before we get to the finale, how are you feeling about the season going into that episode? Like, where were you landing?
I was so shocked that we were cutting it so short because Salt Lake City, as we know, is like premier television. I think of it like prestige television,
Yeah.
actually. I think of it just like Succession or Industry or Game of Thrones. Like I think it's of that caliber. And so each week they were giving us like season finale energy, banger after banger. Like the women were not stopping. So it was kind of abrupt for me going
Yeah.
into it. I was like, oh, okay. And I think I saw online where people were like, we have got to stop having these season finales on the trips, and we need to
Hmm.
have like a finale party like we've done traditionally. And I completely agree. So it felt a little anticlimactic for me because I was like, oh my God, I feel so great about this season. And now we're wrapping it up so abruptly.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get into that, I think, towards
Mhm.
the end because when we examine what happened at the end. But it does feel like season four happened with Reality Von Tees, and they're kind of trying to like reheat their own nachos as we
Mm,
continue on a little bit. You know what I mean? But it's kind of diminishing returns, in my opinion.
I
But
agree.
so we find out at the beginning of this episode that a few days prior they had like talked to this playwright, and this woman's going to write a play about them based on what they had all told her in one-on-one sit downs. It's kind of a funny little package.
It is.
But again, it sort of feels like, all right, we're gonna end on this like big thing where it's like all the shit they say about each other comes to the
Yeah.
forefront, and they're gonna have to confront it all as a group. Which it's like I like that, obviously, like that's like epic, but it also it's towing the line right now for me in terms of like, is it overproduced? Is it too much? Is it are we going too much for like setting up this big kind of capital M moment to end a season. So that's sort of how I started. We started the episode with that being teased, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this could go one or two ways, you know?
No, I agree with what you're saying. I didn't look at it like that, but now that I think back, I'm like, of course, like they were on that trip last year, and
Hmm.
they all went around and they had to expose hard truths about one another. So
Yeah.
yeah, I get what you're saying. It seems
Hmm.
very repetitive, and I also like feel like the producers should have just kind of trusted the women to carry this all the way through back to Salt Lake City. I mean, these women are they're
They're,
acting, well, they're not
yeah,
acting, but they're producing at such a high level that I definitely would have just gone with the flow and seen
right.
what could have come of more footage, because cause to me it seemed like they didn't have any more footage. I was like, what, like the ending scene of Heather crying and then the
Hmm.
group split. I was like, okay, like it just it didn't seem cohesive, like a
Hmm.
final the end, and now
Yeah.
roll the credits. That's what it felt to me.
Yeah, totally. And so we start the morning, and Meredith's in a good mood. She's making the
Mhm.
cappuccinos to everybody. And
Sorry.
it's sort of been this like cyclical thing on this trip where it's like Meredith's in a good mood, that's not okay. Meredith's in a bad mood, that's not okay. And it's
Right.
like we find out from Bronwyn she has a problem with Meredith being in good mood because the night before Meredith had texted her after kind of having late night kiki with her and Mary. She had texted Bronwyn separately, being like, "Hey, can are you up? Like, can I come to your room or can you come to mine?" And now we get this sort of like I guess Meredith wanted to know what had been said at that lunch.
Mhm.
That this is Bronwyn's story, and Bronwyn feels like she's being used, and she goes to Mary, and she's like, "This is what Meredith did after we were together," and like Mary was also at that lunch. So like Meredith could have asked them when they were all together, sort of sitting
Right.
there late night together. Um, what's your why is Bronwyn so upset about this? Like, do you think that she's valid in feeling like she's being used by Meredith? Like this is kind of the third instance of her kind of, getting information out of her. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think Bronwyn is right in feeling
Okay.
used, and like because all of the intel that she has brought back to Meredith has been used against the other women to like, kind of put, I guess, so to speak, the smoking gun, be like, boom, I got you, boom, I got you. Like I know T, I know what's going on. So Bronwyn, I think, is entitled to feel used. And I think that's kind of why she freaks out. I think if Meredith had gone to Mary about that intel, then Mary would have tried to do an intervention with her and would have truly tried to connect with her and see like
Mm.
what's going on. And Meredith wasn't trying to do that. So Bronwyn was a little bit, probably in her eyes, more susceptible to um, kind of pulling information from.
Why do you think she didn't go to Mary? Do you think she sees as Mary as being more at this point, like in with Angie, Heather, and she can't trust that? Like, is Bronwyn like why do you go? Why does
Mm,
Meredith go to Bronwyn? Does she know that she can just use her and she can't use Mary, and
I
Mary's
think
gonna?
so.
Okay,
I mean, let's think about the conversation that Mary and Meredith had at that bar, like
yeah.
after
After the
the,
after the blow deck trip,
yeah. Um, I mean, Mary was probably was she the only one that like spoke to her independently of the
yes.
group and was like, Meredith, I've seen some things, I heard some things, and I'm concerned. And like she was really upset. And I don't think Meredith wanted to go there with her again. And Bronwyn, as much as I love Bronwyn, I think kind of flounders in the group because she's never, and she's admitted this, never had a girlfriends before. So
Hmm.
she doesn't really know how to like place her loyalties and like play that hand of just being a confidant. So so she's easily, I don't like to say this, but I think she's a little easily manipulated in that respect. I think that like, for instance, when she and Whitney were connecting about their marriages and about what happened on the trip, I felt like a true friendship was brewing here.
Yeah, me too.
And I was so upset when she took that information back from that lunch, which was private, and gave it to Meredith. I was like, why?
Yeah.
I realized at that moment, I was like, Bronwyn doesn't know how to be a girlfriend. And I think that's kind of obvious to other people. And I think that's what Meredith kind of preyed upon, which was
Yeah,
like,
she's eager to please too, and I think
yes.
that, and I do think that Meredith has this sort of, I don't know if it's like an aura or just like a, has she
Yeah.
established this throughout, but it's like I think Heather sometimes feels this way around Meredith, where she kind of feels like she before this season it was sort of like bow at the altar of Meredith, like she's the cool girl, she's like she has that kind of coastal energy that like you know what I mean, like that's sort of I think that's
Coastal.
always, but that's sort of
Yeah.
they've had that
Yeah.
sort of more cosmopolitan feel and like.
Mhm.
I do think that
I agree with you.
that's how people react to Meredith kind of naturally in a now that I think about it. Like Bronwyn's not the only one essentially that has kind of been that way with her.
No, I think Meredith is, I mean, I remember her first season and she was really stoic and
Yeah.
like very pulled together and very much like, okay, if this woman told me she was a lawyer, I would definitely believe her. She had her like lawyer hat on. And obviously over the seasons, she's become much more unhinged and like it loosened up and we've seen a lot of things. We've seen cracks in a veneer and a facade.
Hmm.
So I definitely agree that she's a very probably intimidating woman in person. And I don't know what her sign is, but she's definitely a withholding
Mm.
personality. And then she bottles up and then she explodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that. And I think also is very intimidating.
Hmm. And it feels like Bronwyn overnight after this conversation with Meredith has just sort of made a like a almost like a big calculation of like, okay, she's obviously realized Meredith is maybe using her for this information. And then also too, I think she's like, I actually maybe want to be like secure my spot sort of with Heather, Whitney, Angie, and by sort
Mm,
of going 11th hour, end of season, the season's ending,
mm,
going full force against Meredith basically for the finale. that kind of helps to secure her sort of on that side of things in a way. And I don't know. I think that's like
Ooh.
an underlying part of this, like another dimension, perhaps.
Well, I say never, count it out because
Yeah,
right, like Housewives is about alliances and um like lines being forged. I do think that if Meredith hadn't gaslit her on the roof the
yeah.
next morning,
That was a wild that was a wild sit down. I mean, yeah,
I think if she hadn't gaslit her on the roof, I would have. I agree with you, but I think maybe what she did was like she threw in the towel. She was like, you know what?
yeah, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Like I'm so fed up. Like man, like this. Like I am. I know what's really real, and I heard what I heard, and you said what you said. Like there's no taking that back. And the gaslighting, I think, insulted her. It
Hmm.
was like, oh, this woman really isn't my friend, and she's not even real with herself, let alone
She's
others.
yeah, she's gonna do this off-camera reach out and kind of air me out. That's sort of what Bronwyn is like realizing. Like she has no
Yes.
loyalty to me, and so why should I have loyalty to her? But it was, I
Yes.
mean, so for the record, you believe that Meredith did ask Bronwyn about what was said about this lunch. Like that's why,
Sure.
like they're because as this is Meredith's story is that Bronwyn came to her or wanted to talk because she was nervous about the play and what she had told the playwright and it coming out. So we believe that, Meredith actually just wanted to know the lunch information.
I laugh at that notion that they're like nervous about the play because these women are on national
Right,
television
right.
every week and they spill their guts. I I was kind of giggling to myself. I was like, is this playwright going to expose something else like that we, whatever. Um
Yeah.
so I don't really buy that line that Bronwyn was like, I'm so nervous about what's going to be said. I think, and they sent the screenshot of the text. I think she
Hmm.
was asked to come to the room, and they had the
Yeah.
conversation, and
And
yeah,
also, I think Meredith sort of slipped because in this sit down on the roof, she's sort of like, no, I didn't ask about the lunch. Like, this is, and then on the van ride after they met with Angie's cousin, she says something along the lines of, like, I didn't ask about it. I did make a statement about it, you know? And so, like,
yes,
so there's like a little bit
yes,
of like, I think that there's sort of a theme of the episode for Meredith. It's about semantics. It's about
yes.
twisting words. It's about technically or this and that and the other. And so so,
That's the
so
lawyer in
yeah,
her.
yeah,
That's the litigious lawyer
totally.
in her, where because she starts off her kind of monologue at the end,
Hmm.
where she's like, I was taught that words meant something, or they carried a lot of weight. And I think she was kind of alluding to the fact that when you're in law school, you're taught how
Right.
to twist and to
It's
turn.
ingrained into you.
Yeah, like to because we all know Meredith has a really big vocabulary and she always goes for the jugular with her vocabulary. So I don't know. I think that she knows what she's doing, but tries to pretend like she doesn't,
Yeah.
which is another lawyer.
What's the word that Brahmin used? Legalese, which I don't think I have
Yeah.
ever heard that word before, but that's a good word. Um,
Legalese.
yeah.
Yes,
And I think
very
that the
much.
last thing about this is that like, Bronwyn also knew that she's the one that brought up this like Seth sighting, at the lunch
Yes.
like that. And so if here's Meredith texting her sort of off hours, and this would be her telling her off camera about this, and that would one like ruin any sort of reveal about this that Bronwyn either wanted to do it eventually or what have you. But two, it also kind of reminded me because you said that like Mary was the only one who sat down with Meredith after that trip. But Meredith had been trying to sit down with Heather. Like she had reached out to Heather
Oh, that's true.
and Heather had shot her down to have a one-on-one, and Heather kept wanting to bring it to the group. And I wonder if initially, from Heather's perspective, it was like, I don't want to do this off camera, if that's what Meredith's implying, basically. Like, let's figure this out away from the cameras. I think eventually Meredith was down for an on-camera conversation, but maybe this is a track record too of Meredith sort of wanting to like take things out of the show when the water's
Mhm.
getting hot to sort of lower the temperature a little bit, you know?
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
she's a proud woman.
Yeah.
And I think that there are things at stake that she's very worried about. I think that's kind of the undertone that um, the whole season set us up for. And it seems very dark and it seems very heavy, whatever it is. It's like really making her act out of character. And so I think she does want to do it off camera because she's trying to protect her name, her reputation, most likely, and also her family. Like, my only, I was thinking about this
Hmm.
after watching the episode, but like men can siphon energy from women. And I think that the maybe the reason why we've seen such a stark change in Meredith over the years is because of this marriage is like taking a real hit on her personality, like her pride, her like a lot of things, right? And um because I mean, if we go back, she was so upset about that TikTok, that nameless, rudderless TikTok, and she wouldn't let it go. And I just wonder like how their dynamic is really affecting the way that she's acting and functioning throughout like as a person.
Mm.
And then it obviously has implications on like her friend group and stuff. So I think this is something that she really wants to keep private and she does not want to discuss. um but I also realized, like, I also was thinking all of her kids are out of the house. Like, if she were gonna leave, like, why not do it
Well,
now?
she says at some point like her marriage is stronger than ever. There's nothing wrong, and yeah, it's fascinating. It's also interesting to think about the fact that like we've got so little personal story and
Yes.
personal scenes from her.
Hmm.
I don't know if those would have had any sort of, help and like enlightening what, like, but
Right.
we have nothing to touch down on with Meredith's personal life essentially this season because, and I'm sure she filmed plenty of personal scenes, they just didn't include them. And I'm just
Mm.
like, it's kind of a weird feeling because it's like all we got from Meredith, at least in the second half, was like post plane was her denying what they all claim happened, and then it going in a circle, basically
Yeah.
that over and over again. And it was
Yeah.
just like, so I don't know, it's a frustrating situation, I think. And I also think one of the things I really liked the sort of side trek scene in this episode with Angie's cousin. I thought it was like a really nice, heartwarming thing. And like I think I realized also there was this scene when Meredith's making her coffee, she's wearing these PJs, and I'm like, what is she wearing? And I was like, oh, there was this scene in the mid-season trailer of all of them having like a slumber party the night before this day that we're watching on the finale, and
Oh,
they
okay.
and they
Okay.
complete and it looks like it's like this really kind of cute bonding scene. They're all hugging and talking very nicely to each other.
Yeah.
Completely cut out of the show. They didn't show any of that. And I'm just and I thought about the pool scene when they
Mhm.
came back from one of the things, and it was kind of a fun, funny moment for them, sort of at the end of the day. And I was just like, oh, there was also a night out that was like basically cut short, and we saw none of it. Like,
Yes.
I just feel like it just reminded me that there was very little fun and true funniness on this Greece trip. And like, this
Mhm.
is
I
the real
agree.
house of this is the real house of the Salt Lake City in Greece.
Hmm.
And this should be like
Bananas.
bananas and like obviously in the dramatic sense, but also like this is a funny fucking show a lot of the
Yeah.
time. And like
Yeah.
this was not a funny trip. And they didn't include, I also don't think they included enough fun and funny to balance out like this constant, like, let's go after Meredith. Let's get Meredith to
Right.
admit to this. And like,
Right.
I understand the frustration if you're one of them, like, why won't, but like at a certain point, like, I don't
I
know, it just
agree.
felt so one note a lot of the time in this trip specifically.
No, I completely agree because I had a similar feeling, but I didn't know how to voice it. That's a great way of putting it because there was not a lot of levity. Like,
Yeah.
this is Angie K's trip to Greece. I've
Right.
never met a girl more Greek than Angie K. I mean, and I was expecting them to be in the Greek countryside, like milking a goat or something. Like, I really expected it to be hijinks, you know? And it seemed very tame. And now that you're saying that there were so many parts that were edited out, that makes so much sense because I feel like Angie's a really funny girl, and then like all the rest of them are really funny. So it's like if they're gonna go to her homeland, I would think they would really have turned up. Um, so yeah, I think there was like far too much kind of dark energy, and maybe that really wasn't like the actual energy of the show or this of the trip. They just chose to go with that tone.
Right. Yeah. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I feel like, and maybe this isn't true for them anymore, but I always thought that the Salt Lake City women, sort of similarly to the Roni women back in the day, could fight like cats and dogs,
Yes.
and then the next morning it would
Yes.
be like all good. I actually
Like,
don't know if the group is at that point anymore. I think they've kind of
mm,
moved past that line. I think especially with this whole Meredith thing, I think maybe, and like them calling her a pill popper and stuff like that is like, I'm not sure Meredith's ever going to come back from that in terms of accepting them.
and
But
trust.
like, but I still think there were opportunities that they could have injected that feeling into the last 3 to 4 episodes that just wasn't there.
I
Yeah.
agree. Because I with Roni, old Roni,
Uh-huh.
I their trips are incredible. I like sometimes will just watch the trip
So good.
episodes because I'm like, oh my God, I would love to be in a hot, like warm place, on a beach. My girlfriend's being silly. And I will just watch those episodes because they had so much fun and they did get dark and then they would bounce right back
Hmm.
and then they would go
Exactly.
down again. It was just so
Exactly.
many different levels that they would give us and them jumping in a pool. I want to see them by the pool.
Yes, exactly. Like I would have
Like,
seen that. I would have liked that every episode. You know, we got a little bit of
yes,
that. Yeah. Like when they were
yes.
trying on Meredith's like bathing suit cover up thing. Like that was funny,
It
you
was
know?
funny.
Yeah. Talking about the list of people Britney's kissed. Like I like hearing those random things, you know?
No, absolutely. I do think there was too little of that. I wish it could have been a bit more campy and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and
That's what the show does
I
best.
that's what they do best without even doing it, without even overproducing. I was just
Yeah,
like,
and that's sort of why I think this finale, like, I'm not sure how I feel about it because it felt just like so like, all right, we're all gonna like, okay, let's just go to the Sisters of Salt play that that happens to sort of round out this
that
trip.
that was
I
a
mean,
great title.
how like I don't even I literally this aired and I was like, what the fuck just happened? It was like Lisa turns to Bronwyn, turns to Angie, turns to Meredith. So I'm just gonna go down a little bit and just read some of the things that were said by this narrator as these 9 interpretive dancers with masks on um, did their thing. So it actually starts out with a pretty funny jab that Whitney laughs at, which is Lisa, one of the eldest, and you know that that just is a that landed with a thud. So we have Heather the Deflector, a joke wrapped in mascara. You laugh because crying would make it real.
That's
You hide
hilarious.
behind humor. For Bronwyn, it's you're not two-faced, you're no-faced. You
Mm.
treat loyalty like a party favor, cheap and easy to toss, collect secrets like trinkets, trading them between sisters. I mean, that's kind of poetry. I think that's pretty
No,
that's pretty well written.
I have to say, okay, so as a writer, I was very impressed with the narrative of the writing. I was like, there's an arc, there's like the writing, the prose is there.
And it's funny because some of it, I mean, I'm guessing most of it is really in this woman Stella's words, but
Yes.
like some of it you're not sure. It's like, is this her interpretation of what they told her? Is this actually what Lisa said about Mary? Like it's kind of hard to touch down on, but I love the prose here now that I had like written it out. It
Yeah.
says Lisa wears wealth like a shield, who carries herself like a queen among servants, speaking to sisters not as equals but women beneath her marble pedestal.
Mm,
Humility is the only thing she can never afford. Angie, she
mm.
has daggers that lie beneath her tongue. She's foolish in her thirst to be the best. Brittany's words sound like childish noise, clings to the attention of men like it's her lifeline, so consumed by a man's attention that she barely notices her children fading into the background. I mean, oh my God. Like, what?
Bars.
Like, all right, the last three. Mary speaks with a blade sharpened by truth. Her words sting, and she must learn that the righteousness must bend, and her conviction should become could become a cage.
Mm,
Whitney is they're compelled to dismiss her as shallow and a body without a mind. No
mm,
one listens long enough to hear you. She must speak up more to be more than table decoration. And
mm.
then lastly, of course, they're ending with Meredith because this is all leading up to a Meredith attempted
Shadow.
takedown. Meredith hides behind her semantics, twisting language to dodge blame. She drifts between brilliance and confusion, and her behavior is unacceptable.
Ooh.
So that's where we finish off on the Sisters of Salt play, and they get a standing ovation by these women. Um, what tell me your reaction, I guess, just to that part specifically.
I'm obsessed because the writing is so spot on. I feel like this is a really fair, concise, incisive read of all these women. And I
Incisive is a
think
good
that,
word.
like I think this woman probably used both her interpretation of these women after, hanging out with them for a little bit, and then just using their own words and making it poetry, right?
Mm,
Um, I don't see
yeah.
any lies. I
Okay.
don't see it, what is it? It's not shade if you know it's true. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, it's
She was spitting facts, basically. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I thought it was really interesting that they all do that standing ovation, they sit down, and then
Right.
they all look at Heather.
Oh, do
They
they?
they and I think she says like, "Oh wow" or something, but like
Right.
they all look at Heather, and she's the first one to, of course, then speak and be like, "She nailed it. We should all." Ditch the game and we should just be real with one another. Like it start right then is when I really felt as Heather sort of picked up that wine glass. I was like, now we're getting like the Heather speech again. And like, that's what I'm having a
Okay.
hard time. I started to have a really hard time with Heather in this last 10-15 minutes of this episode. I feel
Mhm.
like she is looking for that, as we talked at the beginning of our conversation, like she's looking for that reality Von Teese receipts proof timeline,
Right.
speechifying, gathering the girls. And I just don't know if I buy the authenticity of that. Like, I don't know if
Mm.
she actually cares a lot about getting Meredith to do whatever she wants her to do. Like, I think that she wants it more for the moment, not necessarily because she cares about Meredith, is sort of my
Yeah.
my
I definitely
interpretation of
agree.
that. Yeah, yeah. Do you think that Mary is really the only one who cares, other than Lisa, about Meredith? Like, and what do you? Yeah.
I think Whitney also cares.
Okay.
I think Whitney's triggered by Meredith's behavior.
You think that's genuine?
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I think there's a genuine concern, but because they have such bad blood, it's never really going to come off as authentic.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like an op, saying they're sorry for you. You can be like, yeah, 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 whatever. Um, I think Heather, I agree with you, was trying to have a moment, but ever since that moment, that beat it, the
Reality Montees.
reality of Auntie's moment, Heather's been definitely considers herself the anchor of the show. I don't know if she really is, but I think she definitely considers herself that. And I think she sees of herself as like a wordsmith. So she's able to articulate in ways that the
Hmm.
other women maybe aren't as capable of doing. But I think sometimes she doesn't say anything. So the whole idea of like them all turning to her, looking for guidance, um, is funny. It's very
Yeah.
interesting because she's put herself in that position.
Right.
And I don't know, like you're saying, if her intentions are very genuine, because we see in the preview for next season, for next week, she's like, this friendship's over now, like
Right.
like whatever. And I was like, I mean, I guess, like, were you guys ever that close? Like, I don't
That's the
know.
thing. That's the thing. I think
I don't
people, it's like, it's sort of like an empty threat. Like if you're Meredith, you're sort of like, okay, like, yeah, like they were close last season, I think for one season, kind of, and like, Heather had sort of finally gotten into like the quote unquote cool
She
girls
had.
group.
Yes.
And I don't think it was all that she thought it was cracked up to be, basically. And then she also, it was sort of like, mission accomplished, check mark. All right, let's change it up again. And I actually thought that like, so Bronwyn sort of cuts in. She's like, actually, I'm disgusted. Like, was like really hurt by that because it's very true. Like, I have loyalty issues because I feel like nobody's been loyal to me throughout my life, including my husband. Um, and then that goes, and she's in tears. Then that goes into Lisa being like, I do kind of hide behind my things. I see them as accomplishments and sort of value indicators. And I feel like a lot of pressure because of how I grew up with my younger sisters. And she's in tears. And then it becomes her and Angie like having kind of a hopeful point for them to
Hmm.
move forward, which I really
Hmm.
love to see.
I do
And
too.
then it became Meredith in tears, talking like, as you said, about, being taught sort of the value of words, and she's been betrayed in the past. It felt like, even if it wasn't building up to Meredith herself, like admitting to having a pill popper problem and being an alcoholic, like everything they sort of wanted her to say, it felt like we were going around the circle and having a productive or what was going to be a very sort of productive emotional moment, even if it wasn't the one they wanted to necessarily have.
Right. Right.
I liked the direction it was going in.
Right.
And then Heather pipes in. She's like, "Well, what about you and fucking Braun win?" It's like, it taking up
Yeah.
all the oxygen, and then it
Yeah.
becomes the same thing again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
were you buying the sort of let's go around and cry about our reactions, or no?
I think all of them, Meredith is a hard one.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm gonna say this because Meredith,
Yeah, speak on it.
she's unable to take accountability. And she's going to the death with this one about
She
Brittany.
is.
And I don't know if this is the hill that you should be dying on, but this is the one that she is. Um, and so because of that, it's just this accountability issue. I have then like an authentic or credibility issue with what she's saying. I don't know
Okay.
if she's
Okay, that's
I
fair.
don't know if she's having a breakdown because she's deflecting and she just doesn't want to go there emotionally with this crew. Um, or she was actually having a breakthrough moment and then Heather interjected
Hmm.
and grew frustrated because she was like, you've got a
What are you
lot.
actually saying?
Yeah,
Right.
what are you saying? And you've got a lot to own up for.
Hmm.
Um, so that's the only thing about that moment where I was like, ee. But then
Yeah.
even Bronwyn was like projecting some of her issues with her marriage onto
Hmm.
to
Meredith.
Meredith. And so I don't necessarily, well, I do, there's a little credibility issues
Yeah.
too as well. So I want to play fair, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that whole lunch from last week was projection. Like I thought that
Mm,
because personally,
mm,
with the Meredith stuff, I guess I'm still unclear what they want her to admit to in terms of like, do they want her to admit to like needing help with substances? Do they want her to admit that her marriage is secretly in shambles and she can't like they haven't said outright what they want her to admit to. They're just like, we're concerned, whatever. But that lunch, I was like, we're comparing what we've seen from Meredith to Whitney's dad, who we have not seen for 5 years because
yeah.
he's having that much of a struggle with
Yeah.
whatever he's going through, with
Hmm.
Tamari's son, who is, we know what's going on with him. And then Bronwyn brings up the stuff about seeing Seth when she's going through her own marriage issues. I thought the whole lunch was projection. And so I think that there's been a lot of projection onto Meredith. Again, that doesn't make
Mm,
her. I totally agree. There's like a lot that she needs to admit to, and she's not.
yeah.
She's never, but she's also never going to admit to whatever they want. It's such a.
She's never going to admit
That's
to
where
it.
that's where the whole thing's losing me because I'm like, how did they not realize this 3 weeks earlier? It's like I feel like we were already going in circles, and so trying to end on some big Meredith intervention was never going to work.
It was never going to happen because
Yeah,
Meredith is a very proud woman. And also, I don't think she respects them enough to listen.
yeah. I think at this point she's kind of done with that. Yeah, I think you're
You
right.
know, I don't
Yeah,
think she trusts them enough to be emotionally available, or to take an emotional risk with.
right.
So that's why she's not telling them what's really going on. So these women are coming from the only perspective that they have, which is their own.
Yeah,
I don't think that her problems are as grave as what's happening to Mary's son or what's happened to Whitney's father.
yeah.
But I do think that Brahman bringing up the fact that she saw Seth out with another woman, and we do hear constantly, if you're on TikTok,
Yeah.
you're constantly being
This is not the
fed.
first time we've heard something like this. You're
No,
right.
you're not
Yeah.
exactly.
There's a lot of
And
smoke.
there's a lot of smoke. And obviously we met them when they were in the middle of beef and their relationship was super estranged. Um, and so I don't know. I think they're just trying to make sense of the behavior because whatever happened on that plane, it's the new black eye, It's just
Right.
like it's like whatever happened on that plane was dark and no one's going to cop up to it for some reason and we don't know exactly why. But I think that's why they start.
And I think that part of that is because there's no footage of it and there's never going to be any proof. There's never going to be any proof that it happened or did not happen. It's like I think Meredith knows that in terms of being able to deny a lot of the claims.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they know that in terms of if what her claims are true, which like they're exaggerating whatever happened. So like on both
Mhm.
sides, they're able to sort of hide behind there not being any proof, I
There's
guess.
no,
But
yeah.
so it kind of gets chaotic. Meredith storms out again. We get another storm out. She goes to the
Yes.
bathroom though. She's not fully leaving. And that's when Mary kind of kicks into high gear and she's like,
Yes.
"What the
Oh,
fuck?
this woman.
Let's stop beating around the bush here." Like,
Mhm.
what does she say? She says, I want to get her quote right
Okay.
because
Okay.
she says she calls them all what are we doing here if we're not friends and we don't get each other? We are big grown adults, big all overgrown women. I loved the overgrown women part of it. And we should act like it. And I think she has a point. They're sort of speaking in this kind of the Heather way of like speaking in this grand sort of kind of vague language of like open up to us, like we're the salt sisters um and I think that Mary's right. Like, be specific to her. Like, you really want to get through to her, tell her that you have concern. And then she comes back. And I did like Meredith's reentry. She was like, I just have one
Yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah,
What's the goal? And Mary's like, well, we're all concerned. And you want to know what we talked about at lunch? We talked about that at lunch, that we're all concerned about you and we want you to get help. And we hope you're okay. We don't think you're okay. And she's speaking for the group.
yeah. Hmm.
I'm glad that she took things to that point because
Yeah.
nobody else was going to, it felt like in the moment, you know?
No. They, again, it's the black eye. Like no one will speak specifically about what is at stake and what's
Hmm.
happened and why people are upset. And um it creates a bigger lore around this plane ride than maybe it deserves. But and you know, they need to be specific. Mary is just asking for these women to be honest and real with one another. I think that that's like her whole um spiel, because she's like, then what's the point of being friends? I mean, Mary is someone who will confront you over what, like, you making fun of her farts. You know, that's how direct
Hmm.
Mary is. And she wants the same directness. And I don't want to say that Whitney hasn't been. I think Whitney's been very direct with her.
She
I think,
has. You're right. You're right.
I
But but
think
but but as the Sisters of Salt told us, they don't listen to her.
they
They
don't
don't
listen
take
to
her
Whitney.
seriously.
They
Yeah,
don't
and
take
I
her
think I
seriously.
think you're right. I think Whitney doesn't get credit a lot of the time for how vocal she is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's definitely the delivery, and sometimes she picks
Yes.
the wrong moment maybe. But she has the balls.
She
She
does.
yeah, she'll do it. She'll go for it.
She'll
And
go for
I
it.
yeah,
She's a smart woman. I think
yeah.
people underestimate Whitney. I think that was pretty evident with Bronwyn this season. Uh,
Hmm.
they could have had a really great friendship alliance there.
Hmm.
Because when they were arguing second episode, this was the gout dick sucker episode,
Yes.
and Bronwyn and Lisa were going at it. Whitney was like,
Hmm.
in the background, like, let her have it, Bronwyn. And like they were really tag teaming off one another. And I was like, see,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And then they had the open marriages conversation, which I
yes,
thought was such a good breakthrough, and like it made sense for them to be. They're two of the younger people on the cast, if not the two
yes.
youngest. And you're right. I feel like. Do you feel like all hope is lost there? Do you think they could like maybe? I guess it depends on the reunion, but
It depends on
I
the
I
reunion.
think Whitney feels betrayed by Bronwyn though, by her
She
taking it to
does.
Meredith. Yeah.
I would like for them to like rebuild. And I feel like Bronwyn, obviously, from what we can tell, is like in a rebuilding stage of herself. I think she talks about that in the finale. She's
Yeah.
like, I've got a lot of work to do.
Hmm.
Um, and I think, yeah, I think that there's room for that.
Yeah. What's your read on? Because I do think Bronwyn shows these moments of like being pretty self-aware and
Mhm.
admitting fault. Um, but I think sometimes people interpret those. I think I see people online say this a lot that like, how genuine is that? Or like, is it calculated? Or is it like, does it land for you when she has those moments of self-awareness?
Um, I do think they're genuine, but I do understand where people are like, okay, well, if you know this about yourself, then you got to change it, because then
Right.
otherwise it's just a choice that you're
Mm.
You're choosing to act like this over and over again. If you know that you have an issue with like loyalty or opening up to women or things like that, then you've got to work on that. Or like you have a people pleaser moment, then like you've got to do the work.
Mm. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
So the episode sort of ends with this like, all right, Meredith storms out, Heather goes to get her, brings her back. Then they start talking about her marriage. She's like, I'm fucking done with this. Like, my marriage is fine. That Seth wasn't with anybody, whatever. She goes to call an Uber. Whitney tries to get with her, but then Lisa prevents that from happening. And I will say, Lisa Barlow stuck up for her friend Meredith in that
he
moment.
did.
She was like, because Bronwyn went there but didn't take it over the finish line. She was like, I saw Seth. I don't know who it was with.
She,
I'm not insinuating I'm not insinuating anything, but like I saw him with somebody. And Lisa's like, what are
yes,
you insinuating? Like don't and even Mary's like, no, she saw him with somebody and she's insinuating that. Bronwyn couldn't admit that, but I really liked Lisa and how she handled that moment there because I think that Lisa realized that she should just stick by Meredith if she doesn't like in terms of maybe how she's viewed, or I think it's a genuine sticking by her, but I think um, Lisa was sort of caught between maybe some of the other group and Meredith for a little bit. And now
hmm
she's like, no, I'm going to stick up for my friend. Don't tell me I can't do this. You're
hmm
insinuating that her husband's cheating on her. Like, say it with your chest, basically. And I liked that
yes,
Lisa did that, you know?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, there was a very stark line visually at the end. It's these two women off to the
Yeah.
side, and then all the other women, like, you know, oh, what the Greek tragedy of it all. And I do think
Yeah.
Lisa was a very good friend because I think they've had so many issues around that.
Mm-hmm.
They have literally, I mean, one of Lisa's most popular moments is when she went
Yeah.
off
Slept with
pot
half New
mining.
York. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think she's constantly been since that moment trying to prove her loyalty to Meredith, and I think that she did that. And then, some I guess it's a good sign of a good friend.
Mm.
They know where the bodies are buried. If you call them in the middle of the night, they don't, they're not
Right.
tell you we got to go do some shoveling. They're like, okay, and they get their shoes on.
Yeah.
So I think that's the type of friend that Lisa was being in that moment. Um, and putting her own kind of concerns aside. But I
Right.
think also all of those women have issues with
I
their
mean, as the sisters told us, right? It's like, I mean, I keep coming back to the Salt Sisters, but as you said, like they were spitting facts.
yes.
How did Heather land at the end for you when she was yelling? She at one point she was dragging Meredith back, but then 5 seconds later it's walk the fuck away. You're drawing a line in the sand,
Yeah.
crying with it didn't feel real to me from her. I don't know. It felt I just didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Heather pushes people so far. She's done this twice this season.
Mm,
She pushed Lisa to the brink on the boat,
you're right.
and she did the same thing to Meredith. And I don't know what that type of ambush technique
Mm,
is set out to do. What does that achieve? And I never know what her intent is because it gets so caught up in like you said, the delivery. So maybe there's some truth in what she's saying and what she's doing. And I know there's truth in what she's saying, which is that Meredith isn't being real and authentic with us about something that's going on and she's not opening up. But it's like almost a waterboarding.
yes.
And then
Yeah, like
and
let her
then of
breathe.
course the person shuts down and it's like, I don't trust you. I'm not going to talk to you. I don't know why you're doing this to me. Like maybe we could have gotten something out of Lisa on that boat if Heather hadn't just been like,
Yeah.
going at her. And the same with Meredith. Maybe if we had let Meredith finish her breakthrough, there could have been a moment. I
Right.
don't know. I don't understand Heather's um motives.
Yeah, and
And
that's also I feel the same way, especially about Meredith and this trip because they should take the good moments and just let them be. Don't question if she's sweeping something under the rug. Like, let her like breathe and have a good morning, you know, and not
Yeah.
like that's where I think they really went wrong on this trip because they were asking her what was wrong when she was sulking and pulling away, but then also when she was happy and engaged, they were like,
Yes.
"Oh, you know, why the 180?" You know, and that's
Right.
where I think they lost it. Um, Before we get to Potomac at the very end here,
Yeah.
you know, Lisa says when she's with Meredith standing far away from the group, Heather's like, "Walk the fuck away," and Lisa's like, "You don't get to dictate what everyone does. You're not the
Mm,
judge and jury."
mm,
And I
mhm.
I do think part of Lisa has tried to again sort of satiate the Heather side of things while also showing loyalty to Meredith. I kind of think that in some ways, Lisa and Heather are sort of two of the big pillars of the show
Mhm.
in terms of sort of gravitational pull in the
Mhm.
group. And
Mhm.
that was sort of a, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know what the words are, but it was a moment. It was a moment, a real one
I get
in
what you're
there.
saying. She's like, you don't run this shit.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
You don't
exactly.
run this shit. Like,
Yeah,
like, and you need to calm down. And I kind of agree with her because
yeah,
I don't see Heather as the anchor of the show, but Heather sees herself as the anchor of the show. Heather sees herself as like the
yeah.
narrator.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, and I think Reality Von Teese got her
absolutely.
into that headspace. Yeah.
Absolutely. And everything that came out of that. But didn't they do a moment, they did a flashback where she's not real about her life? Like they asked her who she was dating.
Oh yeah, and she was like very evasive about it.
She
Yeah.
doesn't really share her
No, she
personal
doesn't.
life.
We saw her carry a mattress out of her bedroom. And get a Wayfair sponsored office. That's what we saw this season from Heather Gay. And as I said, we got nothing from Meredith. So like I don't know what's going on with the personal storylines on this show this season, but
No,
they
I
were
completely
minimal.
agree. Like
Yeah, they were minimal.
they were very minimal. And they're like, oh, I did this, that, and the other. But I'm like, I didn't really. I saw your daughters a couple times, which is sweet. But it's like, who are you dating now that you are this different woman? I mean, let's talk about it. Like, she's
Next
had a
season.
huge, massive change to herself, both physically and professionally. And I want to know who she really is beyond just kind of telling the story
Hmm.
and pushing people to this emotional brink because it's like who are you like uh,
And
you know
also, who's going to react well to that? You know, I said they're the two sort of pillars, but like we have five really strong
yeah
OGs that are on this show that like can't be pushed
yes
around anymore, you know? And
no they
yeah.
I completely agree. I just what I think is that like maybe no one else is as hungry for that position
Mhm.
as she is.
She's a striver. Yeah.
She is. I mean, Mary has her own issues to handle. I think
Yes.
Angie K is for me like an anchor just because she's so comedic and so charming um and dramatic. But I don't know if other people think that. And then Whitney again, I think there's a lack of respect for Whitney.
Hmm.
Um
Meredith doesn't care.
Meredith is checked out.
Either does Mary. And Mary doesn't care about being deemed that because she's that in her church and she knows that she's
Yes,
speaking the truth. And
exactly.
yeah, and I actually think I kind of agree about Angie, but I think that what prevents her from actually being really getting that is that she gets she gets mean. When she fights, she goes really, really low. And I think that it's actually lower than
There
maybe
you go.
anybody else goes. And like I think that if she could pull that back a little bit,
Okay.
I personally think that that would benefit her a lot. And I think that would benefit her and Lisa a lot because they could have more like unserious arguments versus like really cutting arguments with each other. Lisa also
Yeah.
can work on her
I was
own.
going to say, I was like,
No,
Natalie.
I'm not putting it all on Angie. I'm just saying if Angie
Yeah.
wants that sort of position to be
Hmm.
real, I think that could benefit her. I do because I don't. Heather goes for it, but she doesn't go that low as much in terms of like the cutting, like
No,
you know,
no,
the
she
dagger tongue or
doesn't.
whatever they said about Angie.
No. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Listen, give that woman
I know.
Pulitzer. She's
Listen, two seasons in a row, Center Snowflake from a friend of. So you gotta. You
I
gotta
have
hand it to
so
her.
much respect for
Me
Angie.
too. Me
Like,
too. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, we are running out of time, but I do want to,
Okay,
can we do
sorry.
no, can we do 10 minutes on Potomac? Do you have
Yeah,
an extra
yeah,
five
yeah.
minutes? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, how are you feeling about Potomac overall this season?
I'm not feeling great.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
I'm
Tell
not.
me why.
I really miss Karen. And I think that without her, all this talk of anchors, but without her as the anchor, I think the show really does flounder. And I think
Mm.
that Giselle, I know we do differ on this. I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
a
okay.
Giselle fan, and I don't think that she is a caretaker of the other women, and so it doesn't make her a good OG in that sense.
That's
Um,
interesting.
so I've really seen fascinating things out of Stacy, and then the rest of them are really like we don't know what's going on, and
Do,
we don't know where things are headed. Wendy's doing great too,
I was
obviously.
about to ask because I feel like Wendy's
Yeah,
having her best season ever. So
yeah.
does that, and the reason why I have enjoyed it more than I have in recent years is because I
Okay,
think it's funnier than it's been in a long time. Does that not hold true for you? Like, do you not?
Stacy's funny.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Stacy's funny, but
Yeah,
like
she is.
you have
Okay.
this dead weight. You have two housewives who are dead weight, Angel and Kay. I love Kay. And the thing about Kay is she has a lot of potential and was being
Hmm.
mentored by Karen Huger. But Karen's not
Yes.
here.
I
So
know.
Kay is wayward.
That's
Like,
true. That's a
oh,
good
here we
point.
go. And I think Ashley needs a break. She's giving me Lisa Renna energy.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good comparison as well.
you know, I think that this is someone who, at least to the viewers, has no self-awareness, and that's very frustrating to watch on screen. Very, very
Hmm.
frustrating. And instead of focusing all on Stacy, who's fab, like show us your life.
Hmm.
Show us your life, girl.
Yeah, right. Um, this episode had like basically two big moments. It was the
Yeah.
binder party and the start of the Colorado trip. I kind of thought the binder party was kind of brilliant, and I'm personally really enjoying Monique's
I've
renewed
enjoyed Monique.
energy.
Yeah.
It's very woo woo in a way that I'm
Yeah.
personally not, but like I appreciate it, and it feels like she struck a good balance of like caring enough but not caring too much.
Yes.
She's locked in, but she's not taking it so seriously. And
Yes.
this was really the first moment where we got Angel sticking up for herself
Right.
in a way that she showed that she maybe can give it back to
Yeah.
them. Where she says to Ashley, "If you think I'm so phony, why do you want to come to my home?" In
Right.
front of the whole group. And that got Ashley to apologize about the eviction comment. I don't think
Mhm.
that you could tell Ashley was not done with that,
No,
like that was
she's
going to keep
not.
going. Um, but I think it's a little too late, but I did appreciate
Yeah.
Angel at least showing that she had like a little bit of fight left in her.
I think Angel just realized in the middle of the season that this was not for her. And she was like, "Oh, I thought this was going to be something else. I thought this was probably going to
But
be
like
a
how?
marketing opportunity.
Yeah.
But this is actually grading at my paper thin, patience level and ego."
Do you think that Monique's I liked this, but some people gave me different feedback online about Monique.
Good
Um,
feedback.
Monique said that, I see some of myself in how Angel's sort of carrying herself as it
Mm,
relates to her marriage. And
I saw
like,
that. Yeah.
I liked that, but I'm curious what you thought about that.
I agree with you. I saw you comment on that, and I was like, yeah, 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 no, I agree
Yeah.
with you on that. I think that Monique is, I think that woman is, well, I don't want to just put this out there, but I think she's battling something that we don't see on screen. And she just had a baby, and
Hmm.
she's with a NFL superstar who most likely, like Monique's ex, was a big baby and wanted everything to be about them because their career has always been about them. And I think she's also got these like nagging women,
Right,
like
right, right.
in
Yeah.
her ear. Like I would be pissed off too. And I think we just saw like a lot of the fourth wall like came down with Angel because from the eviction notice, not the eviction notice. I don't want to start that. She wasn't evicted.
Having to leave her home.
The lease was up.
Yes.
The lease is up,
She
girl.
got the dates wrong.
She got the dates wrong. She thought she wouldn't be recording as long as she was, and then
Yeah.
come to find out she was. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I definitely think that Monique was spot on.
Yeah. The other thing I want to ask you about from the binder party, Wendy gave Angel advice. She was like, don't let what they
Oh yeah,
say go so deep. Like hit it like it's not
yeah,
that serious. It's better to just sort of take it not as seriously, which I think
right.
is solid advice. But
Yes,
again, as people have pointed out on social media, it took Wendy 3 to 4 years to understand
absolutely.
that. So
Absolutely.
it's like it's kind of I guess she's learned from experience, but she didn't. She kind of said it as if she's always known it, kind of thing. But she also had to learn that lesson.
And she's just claiming these women as her friends now.
Yeah,
I don't think that I agree with like the feedback online
yeah,
where it's like, okay, Wendy, but like you're just realizing that lesson for
right,
yourself, and so maybe you should like, and I guess maybe she was trying to be a bit of a confidant to Angel in that moment, or at least showed some camaraderie, being like, I understand, but like you need to play the game. And that's what I kind of feel like without having Karen there, someone who is a gracious caretaker of these women, to be like, this is how it's played. This is how the game is played. Um, it's going to be very difficult for these newbies, and I think that's just affected the general
right. And I think
tone.
and I think it's interesting for Wendy because, as we said, I really think this is her strongest season yet,
Mm-hmm.
and she's kind of also saddling up to Giselle and Ashley. Like we've seen three-person sit downs between them three, the three longest running people on the show. We
Mm-hmm.
saw one this past episode, but I think that's sort of what saves her from total like from viewers thinking that she's kind of too much of a suck up to them now that she's sort of in their good graces, is that she has been Stacy's biggest ally. And I think that,
That's
that
true.
that I think that she's done a good job of kind of having her hands in both buckets in a way that is kind of working for me. Like
Yeah,
she's not all on one side of the aisle.
I agree because I don't think she completely trusts them.
No, no, definitely not. Definitely
I
not.
wouldn't.
No,
I'd be like, I'm not going to tell you about my huge financial issues. I would never, like,
that's the thing. I mean, I think the way that they reacted to her arrest, I think shows her and everybody else that like that was a very surface level, convenient friendship that they were
they're
cultivating.
colleagues,
Yeah, yeah,
they're work friends, and that's how I kind of see it. And
yeah.
they showed their face because they're friends because of circumstances this season.
Hmm.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
genuine.
right. Um, cut to Colorado. Last thing that we I want to talk about is
Yes.
this the house situation. So we have heard all about Angel's genuinely beautiful Colorado
It
home
looks
that has a
stunning.
big home, and yet we pull up to a different home that's an hour away, has a lot of steps to get up to it, an hour away. And it's different to live an hour away in the DC area during filming than to go on a trip and say an hour away from the other people. I don't
I don't
understand.
understand that.
And there was an explanation that it was like supposed to be a couple's trip, but then it wasn't a couple's trip. And it's like only half of them have significant others. So I'm like a little confused by that. Um,
No. No, 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 no. No, I'm right there with you. I thought that was, there's already so many house issues with them
yes.
anyway. They never have the real luxury, like housewife experience that I'm looking for when they go on their trips anyway. So for her to set them up and herself up
I know.
an hour away, it's just like, is this a joke? And then the water to be turned off, and then like um
There's something
it
else. Yeah,
like
the Wi-Fi.
these women are going to pick at everything. They're going to pick at the thermostat being off, too hot, too cold, like the food's too coming out too fast, too slow, like everything. You really had to have been on it with that. I don't know what decision that was other than like a comedy.
And it's like I will say the other moment that was a good Angel moment was giving Ashley and Giselle the same room with the twin beds. You know, Wendy spins back and twirls away. Monique's on her hands and knees laughing her ass off. It is a really good moment to give them that room. Like that is such a great little Housewives moment. So you have to give her kudos.
No, no. It really, really was.
It
It
was good.
really was. And I think, it is true that if you don't want if you don't want to be here, if you don't like me, if you think I'm a catfish, then why would you come to my house? I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna give you the twin bed. I'm gonna give you the double since y'all love each other so much.
And listen, I think they could argue, why are we even staying in a house that has a twin bedroom? Like we should be staying in a house where every room is a queen or king bed, you know?
They
But,
should. They really should, considering all the other franchises go on these crazy lavish trips. And I just don't.
yeah, it's funny because Giselle was like, this is so season one, which it is,
It
but
is.
also it's also kind of two, three, four, five, six, seven. Like it's like they always stay in weird houses.
They always stay in weird houses. I'm just like, please just put them in the Four Seasons or something. Like,
Yes.
why? What is the problem?
Yeah, the Four Seasons Denver. Go stay there. It can't be that
Go
far. It's
stay there.
probably also an hour away anyway. Exactly.
She's over it. Angel's so over it. And
I
like,
know. And I think what really annoyed me was that like I always thought that Giselle and Ashley, and I still do think this, that they would rather see you trading barbs with them, like really giving it back to them when they give it to you. Like they respect that. I think they want to see that from you
sure.
ultimately. But like in this moment with the rooms, they're acting as if they have no idea why Angel's mad at them and why like I was like, wait, like you guys have called her a catfish every time you get together as a group. You said that she was evicted from her house. Like I think I don't view what they've been doing as bullying like a lot of people do, but you can't. They're hiding their
Oh
hands. I'm like, guys, come
my God.
on.
No, that is why I can't stand either one of them. It's like you guys have literally been dragging this girl all season. And for things that you do you think that the images that we see of you on TV are not air shopped or airbrushed? Of course, honey. Like, let's not, please. That to me was like when Meredith was like, we did not have this conversation to Bronwyn. It's like stop it.
Right,
Don't do that. Don't
right.
gaslight me like that.
Oh,
They're a
I
mess.
mean, I'm
The
excited for this trip though. I'm kind of excited for the Colorado trip.
I
It's
think I'm
gonna be a
excited because it's
mess.
gonna be so bad.
Yeah,
And I also just want to get to the sit down with Auntie and
me
Karen.
too. I mean, I'm with you in that. Like, I do. I miss Karen.
I
I had
do.
not thought. I really that point's gonna stick with me that you made about sort of Karen and Giselle being the pillars of Potomac, and but just Giselle not being the caretaker that Karen can be. Like, that's a really apt thing that it is absolutely on point. Like, it's that's missing from. Because ultimately,
Yeah.
as and Candace has talked about this, how Karen was sort of her mentor, and it's not just being part of a group, but it's also filming a show and like doing the right and wrong things when it comes to filming the show. So
No, absolutely. And I
yeah.
I think that without that type of knowledge, like of course these women are kind of set up to fail.
Hmm.
Um it's just giving like hazing. And I think that like Giselle, sorority days are kind of coming out with that. And that's why I can't always watch it.
And I think in the past, when Giselle has hazed people in the past,
Yeah.
they can just run over to Karen and get a hug, you know, or
Yeah.
like there's no one for them to
Yes.
run to because also Wendy's not really that way either, and so like they can't run to Wendy, they can't run to Ashley.
No,
Yeah,
Wendy's
so
not. I realized also that Wendy does is she said this before, doesn't have friends outside of her family. And like this season specifically, you saw how bad of a friend she is to
yeah,
the other women and who are seeking connection. I think Kay's issue is that she's seeking genuine connection. And that's why she's like misled and like
yeah,
so at loss when these women are like, no, I have no loyalty to
right,
you. And
right.
yeah. And even though I find Wendy's story really intriguing this season, I also know that she's not a friend to anybody at the same time.
And the story is gonna take a turn soon. So,
Oh,
I mean,
which
the Wendy that we're seeing on the show,
oh
I don't know anything.
I was like, what's
I don't know anything. I'm just saying it's just this weird thing where we know Wendy's having her best season and then it's just gonna like flip.
pivot?
Yes.
I know. I wonder where she is emotionally now.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Also, like, I just don't think these shows, you can go on these shows if you have
Anything.
anything.
Uh-huh. It's gonna come out. So, well, that brings us to our overextended conversation. I appreciate the extra time.
Of course.
Um, this is great. This is exactly what I needed. Like I needed to again two
Process.
doozy of episodes. So
Same.
yeah, I feel good about I feel good about this.
I feel
So
alive.
when and where can you listen to your podcast? Do all the plugs before we sign off here.
Yes, so you can stream seasons 1 and 2 of your favorite auntie now, wherever you listen to your podcast. We're coming back season 3 in
Oh,
spring of
awesome.
2026. So follow us over at your favorite auntie show on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks
Yay.
for listening.
Awesome. Exciting. Spring 2026. That'll be here before
Yes,
we know it, honestly.
it will be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate it, and we'll do this again soon.
Okay,
Thanks so much.
thank you.
I want to gab.